Good luck.
Oh, so story loaded.
Lucy, you seeing that message? Okay, I think Lucy will sort that out. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to day 4 of the AM virtual event. Hope you're all doing really well. I am joined by the lovely Julia Kendrick. Julia is Managing Director of Kendrick PR. She has tons and tons and tons of experience working really closely with aesthetic businesses, and she is here to talk to us about clinic marketing during and post-lockdown. So she's going to share her top tips on helping you at the moment, and then also prepare for when things hopefully get back to normal sooner rather than later, and what you can do to keep communicating with your client base. So Julia has a presentation ready. What we're going to do, if you've got any questions, if you just pop them into the chat box, we've got someone moderating them. I'm going to turn my camera off, but then I'll put back on at the end and I will ask Julia all your questions. So, Julia, if you're ready.
Yes, indeed.
Hand it over to you and turn my camera off.
Okay, fabulous. Thank you so much. Okay, right, I'm going to just open up my presentation here. So good morning, everybody. It's such a pleasure to be talking this through with you. And yeah, so I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview of some of the things that I've been working with over the last few weeks with my existing clients. And we've also been doing a lot of pro bono consultancy work with clinics to try and help them through this difficult period, because we're all in this together. And I think it's going to be a really challenging time, you know, for the next few months at least. I don't think our industry is going to be the same. So first of all, I'm just going to see if I can progress my slides. So here we go. No, okay, hold on. Please bear with me, guys. Sorry about this. Okay, it doesn't seem to, oh, there we go. Just taking a bit of a delay. So we've got our top tips for clinic marketing. So yeah, as Georgia very kindly said, I'm an award-winning PR and founder of Kendrick PR. We've been up and running for 5 years, and we really do specialise in aesthetic medicine, wellness, high-end beauty and cosmeceuticals. And aside from running a PR agency, I also created the E.L.I.T.E Reputation program, which is a resource for practitioners who are maybe just starting out in their business and they need some help doing their own PR and marketing, but they need some guidance and support. So I introduced that a couple of years ago to help out those practices that I couldn't help out personally. So if I just move it forward, seems to be taking ages to move my slides. Maybe if I can just do that. There we go. Okay, so I know it's sort of a very difficult time right now, but now really is the time to assess your business and take a look at some of the opportunities that this downtime period is going to be offering for you. It really is a time where you can reassess, evaluate, and also forward plan for the future. So what I'm going to walk through is some of the key insights that we've been building up over the last few weeks. Now, we know that regular communication from businesses and brands is much more important now, more than ever. You will probably have been inundated yourselves in your own email boxes from lots of your companies that you've used, brands, products, sort of inundating you with the status of their services, whether they're still operating, what you can do, what you can't do, when they're hoping to be back. So similarly, your patients and your community need to hear back from you. And very sensitive right now in terms of the environment and the marketing messages, because people are looking for authenticity. They're not looking for commercial attitudes. They're looking to build trust and engagement with people on a one-to-one basis. So it's really an opportunity to work on your business instead of just in your business, because as clinic owners, as business leaders, as entrepreneurs, we're often so tied up in just doing the do, getting through every day, managing our teams, managing our businesses. So we can have this opportunity to take that downtime, but do be sensitive and aware of the bigger picture that's involved here. I mean, at the end of the day, there are much more serious concerns going on right now. And that's why it's so important that your communication and outreach has to be appropriate and sensitive to the fact of the seriousness of the situation we're all facing. So just a quick reminder about why regular communications are important. As you will know, the aesthetic industry prior to COVID was booming, highly competitive. You've probably got people, multiple clinics in your local area who are competing with you. And the aesthetic clientele in the UK are increasingly educated, aware, discerning. They know they've got multiple choices for where to go for their treatments. So one of the key roles of PR and marketing in your business is to build trust, is to increase your visibility and build loyalty amongst your patient database. And very much now more than ever, people are looking to create engagement before they have that one-on-one interaction in real life. So patients will look at websites, they'll look at social media, they'll get an idea, an impression of you before they even step into the clinic. And now obviously post-COVID, getting them into the clinic is going to be even more of a process and require even more virtual and pre-personal connections. Before we talk about tips of what you can do now and in the future, I just wanted to touch base on which channels you need to be using and in which formats those would be most effective. So in terms of a clinic, the essential channels every single clinic should be using are to leverage your patient database. So sending out regular e-newsletters, e-shots for smaller pieces of information, emails. Your social media is critical, especially Facebook and Instagram. You're looking to be visible and be present in those spaces where your patients are spending their time. And right now, everybody is spending a lot of time online. I don't know about you, but my screen time calculation on my phone is increasing week by week. Some of the magazines have switched to entirely digital operations right now. So literally everyone's online. And then your website, obviously, for making sure it is regularly updated with news, information, and blogs. So those are the absolute bread and butter essentials for a thriving aesthetic clinic communications channel. In terms of formats, it's just worthwhile noting that you need to make sure you have a library of visual imagery posts that are on brand and that are personal and human. I've had a couple of conversations in the last weeks with clinic owners whose Instagram feeds and whose websites didn't have a single picture of the actual practitioners and team, or the clinic outside and inside, or the beautiful countryside where they're located and things like that. There was nothing actually personal about the brand. And as we said on the previous slide about creating a relationship almost with people before they even meet you, they need to see you, they need to see who you are. So that's something that you need to have a look at if you haven't already got it. Some clinics are very reliant on stock images, Shutterstock kind of things, and those are fine if they're used sparingly. I mean, obviously you're not going to have a bespoke image for every scenario, but they shouldn't be your main format. In terms of other formats that you need to include, it would be these educational blogs and articles for your website and for your e-newsletters. And video, definitely video is the most engaging form of communication online. People will stop and watch a video much more than they will focus on a static image. So you'll need a variety of 1-minute snippets that will be in like stories, and then longer videos for your main feed or your IGTV and things like that. So I just wanted to touch on those before we get started, because if you don't have these things in place, it will be much harder for you to implement some of the strategies for keeping your business thriving now and post-COVID. So I'm going to go through 4 key points about how to manage your communications at this time. So the first thing that we've been working with a lot of our clients and advising a lot of people on in the last few weeks is to help businesses pivot to talking about what they can offer now, what they are doing. And I know that that sounds absolutely obvious, but you would be amazed at how many businesses just sort of have hunkered down and are waiting for, you know, the governmental green light to open everything up again. And they've just reduced down all the communications and thought, okay, we'll deal with it when we know more about what's happening. There's absolutely the need to keep talking about what you are doing and to maintain that visibility during this time. So I very much agree with this title here, that action is the antidote to despair, because it's always worth talking about what you are doing, what you can offer. So what we're talking about here is utilizing those key channels that we've talked about in the previous slide to update all your audiences on what you are doing. Now, this can be from a business perspective. So, you know, obviously the clinic may be closed, but you are maybe offering virtual consultations, or you're still doing online follow-ups to check in how patients are getting on, if they had treatments just prior to lockdown, things like that. You might be letting people know that you actually have an online shop available if they do need to top up on any of the skincare that they've previously purchased, things like that. So there's the business elements, or it could be, you know, you're telling people, right, while we're in lockdown, we're taking this opportunity to update all our guidance to make sure that when we reopen, we're ready to welcome you back in a post-COVID world. I think it's really important also to say about what you're doing from a personal and a community perspective, going back to that sort of authenticity and that trust. If you're always just talking about business, 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 it can be a little bit cold, and people make relationships with people. So, you know, showing a beautiful rainbow that one of your children may have drawn for the NHS on your channels or something like that, showing who you are, you're clapping for the carers, or you may be engaging in some community support initiatives, you know, helping with you know, feeding the homeless and things like that. So definitely include some of those elements in your communications, because people are really looking for that right now. And everyone's very conscious of how people are behaving in this crisis. And showing that you care, showing that humanity isn't unprofessional. I think some people feel like, no, it has to all be very, very clinical, very, very professional. But showing humanity right now, showing your support, how you are helping other people outside of your immediate business operations, is a really wonderful way of keeping connections with all of your audiences. So it may well be as well that your some of your staff in your clinic have gone back into the NHS, and that's a source of great pride, and you should celebrate that and communicate that to your audiences as well. So, for example, one of our clients is a multi-chain clinic in the UK, and many of their surgeons have gone back into the NHS. So it's not a case of trying to sort of trumpet it and saying, oh, look how good we are, but the fact that, you know, you can express your pride and your value of your team in this way. So very much talking about what you are doing now, what you can offer, and pivoting your business from in-clinic first person contact to online, virtual, supplementary services like skincare shops, online consults. This is what people are looking for. It may not be that they take it up, but to know it's there is always good. So next slide. One of the things I've noticed when I've been looking through on a lot of clinics, they have a holding statement that hasn't been updated since the initial lockdown in early April. So this situation is ever evolving, and that is a source of anxiety for businesses and patients alike. So it's well worth making sure that you've got regularly updated statements on your website to say what the latest information or the latest position is. So we've obviously literally just had a guidance come through yesterday from the JCCP about helping clinics prepare for reopening, hopefully by July the 4th. So you may not have worked out all the details, and don't feel that you can't say anything until you've worked out every detail, because again, that paralyzes you. You can say, great news, new guidance has come out. We're working as a team on how this is going to be implemented in our business so that we can hopefully make sure that the business is able to reopen in the next few weeks, or, you know, by July the 4th, in a way that maintains the safety and wellness of our staff and our patients. So you can see how the message is balanced. It is not over-promising or being overly detailed, but it's saying that there's new information, and you as a team are working on what that means for you and your business. You can also kind of champion the fact of what you have been doing, and I very much would encourage you to maybe do a little video post about what you have been doing in the last few weeks. So for example, you know, you can do a little post to say, you know, it's Dr. So-and-so here, just keeping in touch with everybody as we enter the 5th week of lockdown, whatever it is. We've been delighted to hold lots and lots of virtual consultations with our patients. If you haven't had one and you would like one, get in touch with us, or you can do some carefully worded posts about what has been selling particularly well from your online shop. Maybe something's out of stock and you're going to be getting it back soon. So there's all of those kind of business elements, but also, you know, your guidance on what you may have been doing during lockdown to help you stay sane and well. So you could be saying, right, since lockdown, I've discovered the most amazing yoga program on YouTube, which has helped me kind of center myself every day and keep a little bit limber while my studio is closed, and I'd love to share it with you, and things like that. So there are lots of opportunities for keeping that communication going multiple times. Now, we've said a few times about tone. Now, we need to be sensitive right now, not to be overly commercial, not to just keep going back to a business objective. So educational messages right now are what people are looking for versus promotional, but you can have a split. So you can be educating about, okay, during lockdown, you might be working from home, a desk by a window. Did you know you still need SPF while you're indoors and buy that glass? And, you know, here's how it affects the skin. And actually we use this brand in our clinic, which is very, very effective. And, you know, if you want to pick this up, we've got our online shop. So it's kind of the last message briefly at the end of an educational weighted piece, if that makes sense. Again, communicating about your philanthropy, any local initiatives, any support that you can show for your community over and above the business element, I think is always a way that you can continue to maintain visibility in an authentic way that's not always about the immediate business. So that's the first thing about doing some communications about what you can offer now, what you are doing, and how that's evolving during this time of evolution and uncertainty. Another key thing that you can do during this downtime is work on that marketing plan. Now, this is something that very often gets shoved to the side because the challenges of operating a business take priority, and you don't have the time to sit down and really map out what the future looks like and how you're going to incorporate that into a marketing plan. But I'm going to help you through that right now. So the first thing you need to do is review your business performance and your key objectives and milestones for the rest of 2020. Now, obviously, this picture will have changed massively since the start of the year. And while you can't necessarily predict exactly how things are going to be going, you will know that there are some core objectives over the next few months, the next few quarters, that you're going to want to work on, because you may want to really focus on re-engaging with lapsed patients. So tapping into that patient database, not just your active patients that you're wanting to get back in for their top-up appointments, but there's probably a significant proportion of your database who haven't been in this year yet. So re-engaging with those lapsed patients, how are you going to do that? What does that look like? Driving those patients back in for missed appointments during the downtime in a sensitive way, absolutely. And maybe driving new business growth through engaging with new patients with careful special offers to come back in and try something new. So when you've looked at those kind of objectives and worked out what your main focuses need to be and what success will look like for those, you can then create a monthly plan to work out what content you can create that will help drive those objectives. And that's why we spoke at the very start about what those vital channels were for each clinic. So you're looking in a thriving clinic, you are looking to create 2 to 3 blogs per month, 1 patient newsletter, and around 2 to 3 social media posts per week. Now that sounds like a heck of a lot of content, and I understand how overwhelming that can be for many practitioners. But I'm going to show you how easy it is to actually make sure that all your content sort of feeds into each other, and that you can actually make a bit of content go a long way across multiple channels. And if you've got the time now to create your monthly plan, you're going to know what you need to create. And that for a lot of practitioners is the most difficult step. They haven't had the time to forward plan. So they constantly think, oh God, I should really do a patient newsletter, but what am I going to put in it? And I need to post something on social this week, but I'll just stick up a picture. And there's that panic mode, and it feels like a millstone around your neck when you're constantly feeling underprepared and that you don't have a clear idea of what your social and your marketing strategy are going to be doing. So I want to talk about blogs for a second, because a lot of clinics don't realize the impact that blogs can have on your website SEO, and also how good they are for driving the rest of your content. So blogs, from a business perspective, allow you to connect and engage with existing patients, and they help you attract those new patients because you're showcasing expertise and your approach. You're educating, you're showing people what you know, what you provide, and how it could help them. Obviously, an SEO optimized blog on your website will help boost your Google search rankings, because Google looks for websites that frequently update their content with fresh SEO optimized keywords. So it will help drive that sort of search ranking up when people aren't necessarily searching for your exact clinic title in their Google search box. They may be searching for, laser facials or dermal fillers near me. And those are the kind of words that you're going to have in order to appear in those search rankings. Blogs can also help drive your social media content. So you've got little snippets of information that you can kind of feed through your social media posts without having to create brand new content each time. So these are the kind of things that can help, support the rest of your marketing ideas with a blog. So what we're aiming for is 2 to 3 SEO optimized blogs per month. Now I've got complete packages of tailored materials to help practitioners with how to write blogs, what makes a good blog, how to do SEO optimization on your website. So that's all resources that I'll tell you about at the end of this presentation. So don't worry. For the purposes of today, I need to keep it relatively brief. But when we're talking about those blogs, that basically gives you content for your monthly newsletter. So in a newsletter, you really want to have a little bit of an upfront section going, hi everyone, and a bit of kind of personal insight, bit of messaging from you as to what's going on, how you're focusing on things right now. Then you switch to educational content. You have a couple of interesting blogs that they might want to read that will tell them about services at the end of the day, or products that you offer that might be of interest to them within the context of an educational piece, such as, UV protection while working from home. And then you can pivot back to, find out more information on our website. You might have an update on your new opening times and virtual consults that are available. So the newsletter has a blend of news, updates, educational blog materials that point towards services, and call to actions on, we're still offering virtual consults during downtime. So that shows you how much you will get out of a blog. So you've got your newsletter, you've got your posts for social, fresh content for Google search rankings. And as you build up a a portfolio or a catalogue, if you will, of previous blogs, you can still go back, update them, repost them, because it still then counts as fresh content. So it really will build up into a really valuable resource for you. So once you've got that kind of overarching monthly view of what you want to work on, you can map out those other social posts for the month so that everything that month has got a consistent theme and focus and call to action. So you might be offering information, advice, inspirational images. You've got that blend of 75% education versus 25% promotion, treatment information, before and afters. Once you sort of think, okay, I just need to do 3 posts per week, I'm going to do a tip, before and after case study, and an inspirational post. Once you map it out, it actually isn't going to be overwhelming because you've got it all there on paper and you've planned at least a couple of months in advance. And if you can keep going back to it, you'll start to have that consistency in your marketing approach. So again, when we're talking about maximizing content and minimizing stress, once you've got that plan, if you can, delegate some of the actions out to your team to create and schedule the posts. It may be that a member of your team is the person who always delivers a certain treatment or service in your clinic, and they could write one of the blogs for that month. Something like that. Or it could be a junior member of the team, or your clinic manager could source some of the imagery or plan the captions for those social posts. Now that you've thought of what you want to say and what's going to be the main theme, they can find the appropriate imagery, because that can take some time. And also it may be that you think, okay, I actually can't deliver this myself. I can't delegate it. Maybe don't have a team to delegate it to. You might want to identify additional resource, such as online training, or an additional supplier who could help you deliver. So like a content marketing agency who can write the blogs and plan the posts for you, or a PR or social media agency. So it may be those things are better for you to spend some money on and save your own time if you're able to do that. So that's the 2 sections. So then the third one, I think, that is kind of critical right now is to showcase that community spirit and personality. And we've talked about this a few times, but it's looking at how you can weave that into your communications, and just talking about what you're doing to keep your staff and your clients safe and well, what support you may be offering to local charities, businesses, the NHS, and those personal touches where you can, about how you're coping and how you're helping other people, and your gratitude for what other people may be doing for you. I think also with this focus on what you're doing to keep everybody safe and well, it can loop back into how you're going to plan to reopen, and the fact that there is guidance, there is direction at the moment on how we can maybe do that. Just on a side note, there was some interesting market research from one of our clients that was talking about what patients in the UK need to hear and see in order to feel comfortable and confident enough to return to clinics for their treatments. And interestingly, for the UK, yes, there was the element of staff wearing PPE, patients made to wear shoe covers and masks in the clinic waiting rooms, reducing waiting room space. But communication and updates was one of the key things as well, to help patients feel informed and reassured that all of these considerations were being taken into consideration and put into place. So I thought that would be helpful to share with you there. And then lastly, there we go, building towards that reopening, exactly as we were just saying. So I think a lot of people get quite worried about the fact that they might not have everything nailed down to a precise timing, and the stress of trying to say we will reopen by X date is causing a lot of difficulties. But prior to the JCCP guidance yesterday, it was a case of, okay, there may be guidance coming through, but you will know as a practitioner what protocols can be planned and articulated now. Many of you own CQC accredited clinics, so the protocols and processes are very stringent there anyway. So we know that patients will need that reassurance and clarity, but being able to regularly update them on the fact that you're having meetings internally as a team to work out the best processes and procedures to put in place will be helpful. So I think as well, one of the things you could consider doing if you want that extra level of reassurance is to run a survey through your patient database to say, here are the things that we're considering putting in place post-lockdown. How do you feel about each one of these? So you can get a sense of how engaged and how happy patients are with the protocols that you're planning to put in place. So you get that direct feedback from patients. You maybe get some extra ideas about what they would like to see. And the patients also get to hear what you're putting in place as well ahead of time. Once we do get closer to that opening date post-lockdown, you could consider a waitlist policy as well. That's another marketing tool that you can implement. So obviously you'll have a lot of patients that had booked in during the lockdown period, which you will need to rebook as the priority. So communicating to those patients that they're first in line, should they wish to rebook once you're open again. So that's one segment of your patient database that needs a tailored message and outreach. Then you've got, everybody else who might not have had a previous booking that's been delayed, but are keen to come back in. So you can say to that segment of your database that you're opening a wait list. So as soon as these appointment slots become available, they can sign up to be the first to be able to book in. So again, it's kind of a two-pronged approach that lets you re-engage with those patients who have already been booked in but delayed, and then everybody else that you want to encourage that sense of urgency to book back in once you've got that all kind of laid out there. When it comes to incentives and discounts, quite a lot of people I've been speaking to have been very concerned that they need to offer big incentives and discounts to get patients to feel confident enough to come back into clinic. The market research and data that I've seen thus far indicates that people are quite keen to get back to normal as soon as possible, and they miss their treatments. Their treatments are very, very integral to their feelings of self-confidence and self-worth. However, I would just say from a sort of credibility perspective that discounts and incentives, I think, need to be managed very carefully because it does slightly cheapen your credibility and your prestige as well as medical practitioners offering this kind of caliber of service. So, I mean, I would always just very closely look at the GMC and ASA regulations on how to promote discounts and incentives for booking, because I think everyone feels like there's going to be a free-for-all and they've got to be top of the pile, offer the most discount, do the flashiest offer. But I think you will know from your experience that the patients that are shopping around for special offers and the cheapest possible price are not necessarily the patients that are going to be regular, loyal. They're just going to shop around for the next cheapest deal after that. So just worth a thought to consider that element as well. So that's the main things I was going to talk you through. Just to flag again about the resources that are available should you need some extra help and support. So as I said, the E.L.I.T.E program is an online training program that I created with 24 bite-sized modules that take you from complete beginner status to all the way to some of the more advanced PR and marketing techniques. So it's this kind of online webinar training format, much as we've been doing now. And you get template materials, cheat sheets, and examples so that you can actually implement those in your own practice. And it's a very much kind of pick and mix option. If you want to upskill and get some extra help and support on particular topics, there will be a module with that topic on it. So I hope that that's useful. Just as an example, these are the modules that are available. So I do recommend that before you start trying to do blogs and newsletters and social media, have a look at some of the fundamental foundation ones, because if you haven't got strong messages about your company and why you're different and what you stand for, then it will be harder for you to create the rest of that content and do some of the more advanced activities. So that's just a thought there. And in recognition of the opportunity I've had today to talk to you, I've put in place some special offers to support businesses during COVID. So you can actually get free access to 2 of the E.L.I.T.E modules, so the successful issues management and how to create and use video modules. All you need to do is visit the Kendrick PR website, you register your details and use the voucher code COVID, and you'll get an account with those 2 modules absolutely free, no obligations, no strings. But if you would like additional help and support and you want to buy additional modules from the program, you've got 15% off code right there for yourselves. And again, we're also offering free 30-minute consultancy calls with myself for businesses that need a bit of help, support, strategic brainstorming, anything you need right now. That's our little commitment to helping everybody through this crisis. So those are some of the resources and special offers that we've got on at the moment to help businesses at this time. And that's it.
Thank you, Julia. You're an absolute pro. That was brilliant. Thank you. Okay, we've had a few questions come in. So someone has, in fact, I don't know if this will change for everyone. Hopefully it has done, so we're a bit bigger. Okay, so someone has said, so the idea of posting videos is great, but they are concerned that posting videos in this climate would give the impression that they're currently carrying out treatment. So I guess they're referring to like treatment videos or demos. So is there would you sort of advise kind of always having just a disclaimer if that is something that people are worried about, that, you know, you're not actually doing that now?
I guess so. It kind of depends on the content of the video, but it could just be that you've got an empty clinic right now, and it could be that you do a video standing beside your machine saying, okay guys, I'm going to tell you a little bit about some of the treatments that we offer in clinic, just because we've got this opportunity right now to show you what it's all about, you know, and this is an M22 laser, and what this actually does is blah, 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 blah. I think it's different if if you've got existing video materials maybe that show treatments, you could just put a little note in the captions or a disclaimer on it to say filmed prior to lockdown or something like that. But I think generally people would understand, but especially if you're doing a new video, you can literally just say, right guys, I just wanted to take the time during lockdown to create some new videos to give you some information about the treatments that we offer here in the clinic. So
yeah, okay. What is the best way to find appropriate imagery for your social media posts? Someone said, I assume you can't just use Google Images, etc.
Yes, absolutely. That's a great question. So yes, you can't just use imagery off Google because it breaches copyright, and you can face quite hefty fines if somebody takes you to task over that. So you can be forced to remove the image, you can get a fine for misuse of copyright, things like that. So I would always recommend using a proper service like Shutterstock or something like that, where you pay to have access to stock images that you have a license to download and use. So that's it, and it's not expensive. I think as an agency we use Shutterstock, and I think we've got one of the larger packages because of the amount of stuff that we use, but it's something like £90 a month for 350 image downloads. So, you know, that's one of the tools we use. But it's a really good point that, you know, as I said, you don't want to be over relying on stock images, because by nature they are impersonal. They are not you, they're not your actual clinic. And with many of our clients, even those that we just do social for example, we have often sort of said, right, okay, you're looking at 2 to 3 posts a week, and multiply that, you know, with what you need in a year, and the fact that people really engage with fresh content. You can't keep reusing the same 10 images over and over again. You need to create some images of your own. So very often we've ended up doing photo shoots for our clients, and we work with a photographer who we've used many times, who does a variety of headshots, team shots, interior clinic, exterior clinic, flat lays of some of the products that you use in clinic. And then you can intersperse those proprietary images with stock images. So there's a blend on your website and on your social channels. It means you're less reliant on stock images. You're less at risk of copyright breaches because you've created your own images that you own and you use. And more importantly, that actually show you and your team and your brand and your ethos, and give that sense of consistency to all of your communications. So that's a great question.
Brilliant, thank you. Okay, so someone is asking for advice on starting their journey in facial aesthetics. And as a starting point, offering virtual skin consultations. So drawing clients in when you're at the beginning of your journey in the industry, but specifically thinking about the person not being sure when they can offer clinic treatments, even more so than normal because of being high risk. So having to follow extra kind of shielding advice. So it may be even longer for them until they can offer treatment. So if you're at the beginning and you perhaps don't have tons of experience with clients or a client base, I think is what this person's saying, how can they start drawing people in through virtual skin consultations at the moment?
That's a really good question. I mean, the trouble that some people are having with the virtual skin consultations is because they might have the consult, and in a normal world you would have maybe proceeded to a booking fairly soon after that consultation. But I think it comes down to, now we've got a sort of target date of reopening. It comes back to that, okay, you've had your virtual consult, we're aiming to be opening to do treatments by this time. Here's the stuff that we're going to have in place. And if you'd like to book in following your consult, here's how you do it. So I think it's about the sort of quality of communication after those consultations to manage those expectations, because you don't want to just end up doing loads of virtual consultations that then don't convert, and those patients aren't nurtured through regular communications to take an action. We know that patients and the public in general need 3 to 7 touch points to make a purchase or to take an action usually. So you may have done some posts or some educational content on your channels about offering free consults. Then you have the free consult. So what are you sending that patient immediately after? And then you're not wanting to obviously pester people, but it's a case of having other content maybe on your social or on your website to say, if you've had a virtual consult, you might be interested to know that we've just been told that we're aiming to reopen by this time. Here's what we're putting in place to keep you safe and keep us safe. And it's just literally information about what the post-COVID practice is going to look like. And then another follow-up to say, you know, we're now opening a wait list system for people who've had virtual consults to be able to book back in once we reopen. Are you interested? So there's just multiple ways to keep nurturing that patient, not necessarily always going, do you want to book? Do you want to book? But saying, here's what we're doing. This is going to be the next step. Would you like this? Before you come in for your injectables that you had your virtual consultation, you might be interested in prepping your skin with some of the skincare that we offer and that is available to purchase. And there's so many ways that you can kind of offer value to that patient as a method of keeping in touch, but not always kind of badgering them about proceeding to an action.
And even if you don't know when you're going to be able to start providing treatments, it's about, you know, if that person wants to book in with you, they will, won't they? They'll wait if you're communicating with them.
Yeah, they keep seeing you, and what you're providing to them on each of those interactions is valuable. You know, and it may be that after that virtual consult, you send them a follow-up email that kind of gives your key guidance for them. It says, if you're interested in, you know, prepping your skin before treatment, here's some of the treatments we suggest. You can buy them here. Please do sign up to our newsletter so that we can keep you updated as when we're opening. Then you're building your database, and then, you know, you can send out information to that database that's just purely educational as well as business updates.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. I think we have time for maybe one, maybe two more questions. Is it a good idea to introduce new treatments or skincare lines to the clinic right after lockdown? What do you think?
Ooh. I mean, the element of newness is always good when you're trying to sort of reignite momentum in a business. But I think it would very much depend on the quality of the pre-opening marketing. Because if you weren't in lockdown right now and you were going to launch a new treatment into your clinic, you would maybe do, or you certainly do an announcement to your patients. You might even do like a special event in the clinic, and you would do kind of targeted marketing around that topic for that month, if that makes sense. I think my gut is that it would probably be better to re-engage with existing patients on the treatments that they regularly have, and once they've come back in once, you can say, and now we've also got something new for you. I just feel like everyone right now is just wanting to get back to normal, and they've maybe missed, if you've got loyal patients, they're going to want to come back in for their usual treatments. Maybe they're not going to be as influenced by something new and shiny. New and shiny is kind of good for everybody else. But I think it's going to be more challenging right now to launch something brand new right at the start of coming out of lockdown. People, I think, want to get back into a normality. They want to know what's the sort of core offering.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to do one more quick question. So someone's just asked, for when you were talking about that patients may be expecting discounts, or whether you should offer discounts, this person has asked, what's the best way to say no if patients are expecting it but you don't want to do it? Like, how do you communicate that to patients?
So if a patient's asked directly, do they mean, I think the rest of your kind of positioning and your messaging, it should always hark back to the quality and the expertise that you offer. I think in our industry especially, people feel like it's a weird one. It's the only industry, I think, where people feel that they can kind of bargain for treatments. You wouldn't bargain with a dentist about how much they're going to charge you for, a wisdom tooth extraction. And there's this similar level of expertise and patient care that is required in a dentist operation versus, an injectable. So I think it's worthwhile sort of having consistent messaging on your website and on your social about the medical and quality nature of the treatments and the expertise that's required to deliver them. Hence why we don't tend to offer discounts. We don't compete on price, because we believe that these should be approached in a way that is properly considered and isn't driven by price. And I think it is always a hard thing, because you think, gosh, I want to attract patients, but at the end of the day, those patients that come in just because they get a good deal aren't likely to stay long. They're not going to be loyal to you. So in the long run, it's not really worth your while worrying about whether or not they're going to come in, because they're not going to stay. They're not going to be a quality, long-lasting patient that will come back again and again and build value for your business. So I would always say it's a case of reflecting back to the expertise and the quality and the medical nature of what you offer, because that means it's not just something that you bargain for. This is expensive because you spent 7 years training for it, or something like that, reinforcing why the treatments and why the business is valuable and credible, and what patients get for that expertise. You get follow-up, you get redress. If something's not quite right, you can go back and know that it will be fixed. Those reassuring messages are very much a useful tool when talking about price.
Really good points. Thank you. We're going to have to wrap up now. There are a few more questions, but what I'm going to do is I will post them to the Facebook event page. And Julia, if you wouldn't mind maybe hopping on and just answering them. I think it's about three or four more. So anyone who's asked a question that hasn't been answered yet, don't worry, I've got it, and we will post it on Facebook. Julia, do you want to just quickly remind people again, just maybe flash up your slide about where they can get in touch with you for the E.L.I.T.E program, or just anything else that you're offering?
Yes, absolutely. How do I go back to the old slide?
Oh, let me do it. Oh, sorry, there we go.
There we go. Right. So that's what's on offer at the moment. So we've got free access to 2 E.L.I.T.E modules with the voucher code COVID. And then for aesthetic medicine customers who want to make any other purchases from the program, you've got 15% off. And then, as I say, just email me at julia@kendrickpr.uk if you'd like to take advantage of some of our free 30-minute consultancy call slots. So that's all there for you.
Wonderful. Thank you for setting that up for us as well. Okay, thank you so much, everyone, for joining. I will post the rest of these questions. And Julia, thank you so much. That was wonderful.
You're so welcome.
That was really helpful, so thank you. And we will see everyone for the rest of our sessions today and tomorrow for the rest of the virtual event. So thank you.
Okay, fabulous. Thanks, guys.
Bye.